What is up, guys, and welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. So, I decided to make a vlogging spot. I felt that there's no place for me to really sit down and talk other than my bed. And after watching Gabby's video, her last video, how she talked about how she never sits in bed, I realized I spend the majority of my time in bed. But I am a very messy person, my room is. And so I've spent the last, when did I start? Like 3 or 4 hours cleaning my room. I cleaned out a few weeks ago. I did go through and get 2 buckets of stuff and donate it and like to get a bunch of clutter out, but I still had so much clutter. So I threw away a bunch of junk. I put more stuff to be donated. What you don't see is a huge stack of clothes that still need to be washed. In my bed, I washed my sheets. That's just the best feeling ever, except Gus is sitting on my bed right now, filling it back up with dog hair. But can't really blame him, he's too cute. If anyone wants to know where I got this swaggy sweater, my grandma used to be a teacher, and from every day from Thanksgiving until Christmas, she wore a different sweater. So I only have like 2 or 3 of them here because they're like thick, chunky sweaters. I don't have room for them. But I have a ton of them back home. So I am going to, one second, I think I need to delete some footage. All right, guys, I am back from deleting pictures. You guys only missed me for 1 second. Today I'm going to do a quick little informational bit about macros. I have already made a video about what a macro is. When I first started YouTube, I know I haven't been on YouTube for that long, but I feel like so much has changed since I started. So I'm just going to do a few tips about making macros easier. So how to get the most out of your macros. Also, somebody asked me for a video about my lashes. I know I've talked about them before, but I never really got to tell you like how they're done and all that stuff. So if you have any questions for a lash extension Q&A, leave them below because that's going to be my next video. Okay, I have a whole list of Vlogmas ideas. Aren't you guys so excited? Okay, the biggest thing with macros is staying consistent. So I had my friend text me and say like, hey, if I'm eating under my macros, is that still okay? And the plain answer is no. So macros are a lifestyle. It's not exactly a diet because you can either be bulking or maintaining or dieting all on macros. It's more of a lifestyle because it's a way that you can look at food in a new way. And yeah, so if you're already on cutting macros, eating below your intended intake is not going to help you, especially because when you're eating below your intake, you're probably not eating below in a even manner. So you're probably just eating less protein. I'm just blatantly covering it. You're probably just eating less protein and you're probably still eating the same amount of carbs or fat, or maybe you're eating less fat and protein and still eating the same amount of carbs. So eating under your macros is not really going to help. You're going to want to hit your macros, and from there then you can lower your macros as a whole, but make it a point to hit your macros. And for everyday living, I would say within 5 grams of your macros, and for prep I was like within 2 grams of my macros. Another thing is, a lot of people, I saw somebody ask me if calories versus macros is better, and I think macros is better just because it fully encompasses more of what you're putting into your body. So my dad, when I was home for Thanksgiving break, he asked me to talk to him about macros, and the thing, because he counts calories on MyFitnessPal, the thing with macros, and the reason I think everyone should count macros for at least like a month of their life, is it shows you what you're putting in your body. So when you're eating just calories versus macros, calories, you're hitting your calories, but you have no clue what it's coming from. So yes, you still can lose weight with eating, like having lower calories, and you can do all that, but for body composition and just learning about your body and being able to decide what food is good and bad. It's a better mental outlook for me, especially because if I eat an Oreo, I'm sometimes like, oh my gosh, I was so bad. But if it fits my macros, then I don't have to feel bad about it. Food guilt, I've talked about it before, but do not feel guilty about your food. And macros just helps me ease a little bit more because I'm still working on that mental strength. Always trying to make mental gains. So body composition and all that, macros is better, and I think everyone should learn so they learn what they're putting in their bodies. People who come to me and ask about macros, I can't give you your macros, but I tell everyone to track your macros for 3 weeks to a month, 2 months, to just see what you're eating. No reason to hit any macros because the macro world is very confusing. There's no reason to hit any macros. Just count your macros as you would eat them, and then kind of make a chart as to where you were hitting every day. I'm going to make some assumption that you're not hitting your protein and you're hitting your carbs and fats. So track what you're eating, and then from there, if you can't afford a coach or you don't know where to go for a coach, I would say from there to just see where your numbers are and then try to manipulate them. My biggest piece of advice is keep going even if you don't see results, because I just see so many people ask for a quick fix. They say, oh, how do I do this? Oh, I did it for a few weeks and it's not working. Well, consistency is first of all key, or people say that macros are too hard for them to count or it's just obnoxious or anything like that. But my answer or my response to them is, if you're really interested in your long-term health and your long-term goals, something being obnoxious or annoying isn't going to stop you. If I just stopped at everything that was obnoxious, annoying in real life, like, where would I be? I want to be anywhere. No one would be anywhere. So yes, it is tedious to count your macros sometimes. It's kind of annoying that you can't just walk by the cupboard and grab something. You have to type it in and make sure it fits. But if you're interested in your long-term health or actually interested in changing, a little annoyance shouldn't stop you. So I'm not saying it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it and the whole world would run on macros. But it's not super easy. But once you get a hang of it, I think it can be great. So macros versus meal plan. Meal plan is basically someone just gives you exactly what to eat. So at breakfast, you're going to eat egg whites and asparagus and this, and then at lunch you're gonna eat this, and there's no room outside of that. What I like to do is make a meal plan with my macros. I have a few meals that I almost always eat. They change from month to month basically, depending on what I want to eat. But for the past like 8 months, every night for dinner, I've had chicken, sweet potatoes, and peanut butter. And another thing I like to eat in the morning, I always like to have egg whites in the morning, plus an egg depending on where my fats are, and then English muffins is what I've been eating. So every night before I go to bed, I go into MyFitnessPal and I plug in my breakfast and dinner and any other snack that I know I'm going to be eating or that I really want to eat. By putting that skeleton in, then you're kind of making your meal plan, and then from that you can plan the rest of it. Now I advocate for putting your meals in at either the beginning or the end of the day before, like at night before the next day, because it is very hard when you just put it in as you go, and then you end up with a very haphazard amount of macros at the end of the day. So I say to plan them for the most part, even if it's just a skeleton, plan them so at the end of the day, if you're like, oh, I have like this random amount of macros, you can add them to your last meal and just like make up for them in your last meal. So like to put those bookends on the end. I like to plan, I have my dinner that I always eat, my breakfast that I always eat, and then I always have a snack in the middle. So I put that in, and if I'm putting it in and then I think about, oh, my friends wanted to go here to eat, I can type that in and then move it around, because something that's happened to me, happens to me still, is I like to eat like 5 egg whites with 1 egg, and an egg has like 5 grams of fat in it, and then I'll go out to eat or go and eat something else, and then at the end of the day it's like I don't have any fat left. But if I would have just ate the egg whites, then I could have the fat with the meal that I wanted. So it's really helpful to plug in your meals and do them, make that skeleton, all of that. Another thing is meal frequency. A lot of people, and amount of meals. A lot of people ask, how many meals should you eat a day? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm a huge snacker and I love eating in general. So just being like, oh, I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's never gonna be it for me. Literally, growing up, there's always M&Ms out. Like, I always gotta have some M&Ms when I'm home. So I'm a huge snacker, so I have like maybe 3 to 4 meals, and then the rest of them are snacks or like smaller things that aren't really considered a meal, like a banana and peanut butter. Like, that's not a meal, but it's something I eat. And in MyFitnessPal, if you go to the actual website, you can change it to meal 1 through 6 instead of breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. So if you're wondering what is better, to eat 6 meals a day or to eat 3 meals, there's no real scientific research on that one is better than the other. So eat your meals how you like them. But with meal frequency, I would say to plan your meals around your workout if you're working out. So I like to put carbs before and after my workout, so I'm fueled, ready to have like a lift. So I like to either train fasted in the morning. I really like that, but I don't always have time for it. But if I'm not training fasted, then I like to eat my meal in 30 minutes to an hour before I go work out. And it's normally like rice and turkey. And then after my workout, it's normally, if it's not early in the morning, it's late at night, like at 8. I know it's not super late, but once I get back, then I'll eat my chicken and sweet potatoes and stuff. Lots of carbs and protein. Another note on that, everyone thinks you have to pound protein shakes once you get done with your workout, but there's lots of studies that show that the window isn't like 10 minutes after your workout, it's more like 4 hours after your workout that you need to get that protein in. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to work out, I need to consume carb load, all the carbs, and then right after my workout I have to chug a protein shake before I even leave the gym. It's not the case. But you should spread out how much you eat your protein. It'll keep you fuller longer, and it just helps. So how I like to plan my meals is put a protein base around each meal for the most part, and then from there plan the rest of my carbs and fats. Speaking of fats with IIFYM, if it fits your macros, a lot of people try to just like be an asshole about their food and fit like Pop-Tarts in every day. And if you follow me on Snapchat, shameless plug to follow me on Snapchat, you see that I do eat Pop-Tarts sometimes, I do eat Oreos, I do eat fun foods, but IIFYM isn't about how much junk food you can fit into whatever and like fit your macros. Like, you should be getting food from whole sources. You should be using olive oil. I know I say oil, it depends if I'm trying. I know I say the word weird. You need to be getting full amounts of foods. You shouldn't have all your foods processed, anything like that. So another thing going off of that Pop-Tart dealio is you want to have foods that work with your body. So how I said I have the same meals that I eat every day and then move around a little bit more for things that I want. That works with my body. I have IBS and irritable bowel syndrome, TMI. And so a lot of foods disagree with my stomach, and there are foods that are much better for me, even though I love chicken wings and would love to eat chicken wings and I could probably fit it in my macros now. It's just not the best for me. Fried food really tears up my stomach. Make sure you're doing foods that agree with your stomach. Don't be an asshole. Sorry, mom and dad, if you're watching this. Just don't be dumb about your foods. Eat fun foods, do it, but also be smart. Be smart about your body, how you're fueling it, if it likes it or not. And when you're if you're eating like the same kinds of foods every day, you're throwing less at your body. So in a previous video I talked about from Chanel, how she said you can't throw a million different variables at your body and expect like a singular outcome. It's the same way with food. So if you're varying your food constantly, it's very hard for your body to stay normalized and to not fluctuate. So if you're eating similar foods all the time, your weight fluctuation isn't going to be as present as if you're eating like all sugary foods one day and whole foods the next day and all that. Also, it's just easier to eat the same foods. Obviously, I'm not saying eat plain chicken every day, but it's just easier for my grocery list. I know what things I'm getting from the store. I'm not wasting money. And if I do buy something fun, like I buy it in a smaller container so that I'm not wasting the money and it doesn't go bad and that I'm not tempted to eat it all the time. So figure out what foods work for you, figure out what foods you like, and stick with those, and it'll make macro counting a lot easier. When I went home for Thanksgiving, we went out to breakfast every morning, or this is what I do. A good tip about macros and just life in general is a lot of people say the quote, memories over macros. I 100% believe in that. There is a time and place for strictness, aka prep was very strict. But outside of prep, I like to be a little bit more lenient. So we went to breakfast and I know they cook with oil on the grill, and I know that like a pancake that I make at home, it could have had a lot less fat, but the pancake that I got from the place I ate had like 20 grams of fat. And yeah, that sucks, but I would have rather sat with my parents and ate breakfast with them, been able to enjoy their presence than to have a little bit more fat for a different meal later. So really, at the beginning of your day when you're planning out your meals, think about what you're doing that day, plan that meal first, and then plan around it. So you already have your bookends, your meals that you eat, put in the other meal, and then plan your snacks and everything else around it. So yeah, when we went out to eat one of the days, I almost stayed at home because I wanted to have my meal with my controlled variables and all of that. But then I thought, Sue, you're being stupid. Go spend time with your family. Went and spent time with them. Yeah, I did not have as much fat and carbs left at the end of the day that I wanted, but it was okay. I survived. It's fine. And that is going to be the end of this little talk. If you have any more questions about macros or how to make life easier, let me know. I'm going to include a few recipes in later Vlogmas episodes, like a healthy macro-friendly buffalo chicken dip. And I might have like a little macro-friendly grocery haul of random things that I found that the macros aren't as terrible as you would have thought. So thank you guys so much for walking. Thank you so much for walking. Thank you guys so much for watching. Any future ideas, because I'm getting them all from you guys, leave them in the comments below. In my description box we'll have anything else you need to know, the link to my protein. The giveaway is still going on, so head over to my Instagram. It'll end on Sunday night, which is tomorrow. So happy December 3rd, happy third day of Vlogmas, and I'll see you guys later.